what you do on a daily basis was really how I told them to write up their job descriptions.
So their job description were drafted upon what they do, not like on an actual job description that this is required.
No, I'll answer that question. If you notice, you have actually two sets of job descriptions. You have the generic, which many times we can criticize by saying it's too generic. And then we have the ones that the coaches actually have written down, and this is what they actually do. So that's why you see two sets of job descriptions. One is the generic one, and that's basically acceptable in most places. And then we took it a step further and said, okay, you know what, let's write down everything that you're responsible for.
Basically, I told them, like, Coach Hughes or you're getting $6,000 as a stipend, how are you earning your stipend? Write down everything you do on a daily basis to earn your $6,000 stipend. And basically, that's what I told all the coaches. Baseball coaches, that's basically what we told everybody. Write down what you do to deserve your money, and that's what you have.
Coach James, in regards to your stipend, is it pretty even with our neighboring districts, or?
I honestly do not know on stipend wise, because everybody just gets paid a lump sum, a sum. It's not really stipend money.
Let me answer that question. See, and we proposed it for the board to consider, and we changed our mind on it. The majority of the athletic directors are part of an administrative scale. In other words, they get paid a lump sum. The way that this school district has elected to address that issue, we base his salary on the teacher scale times 20.20, which is an additional weight for being the athletic director, times the number of days, and then two stipends. One, because he's a head football coach, he gets one stipend, and then the other one for being the athletic director of $12,500. So the athletic director stipend of $12,500, and the majority of places that's rolling to the salary as part of the a scale, an administrative scale that has a minimum, midpoint, and maximum. Now we propose that to the board to consider taking his position, the band director's position, and the athletic trainer, and put them in that type of setup. But remember that we had several discussions, pros and cons, and I don't see the cons to it. I mean, I can see the pros, but I can also see the cons to it. So we decided, as administration decided, just to put it off, like it was recommended, and leave it with a stipend. That's an issue that I would like to address in the future, maybe in the near future, because there is, again, pros and cons to the way we have our athletic stipends.
Since we're talking about coaching stipend, would having and I'm asking this question because this was brought up to me by a community member, would having a athletic secretary be considered like a stipend?
No, an athletic secretary is not considered a stipend, and remember, it doesn't have an athletic secretary. We have a UIL secretary that addresses issues with band, with athletics, with cheerleading, with the whole thing, but he does not have a individual secretary that just works with the team. So no, it wouldn't be considered a stipend or any type of that.
So the position is not like athletic secretary, it's UIL secretary, which I guess caters to.
I fall into band, falls into cheerleading, academics, all the stuff, channels, all of that.
And the reason I asked that question because it was brought up to me by a community member, and they work for Bronzeville ISD, and they said that in Bronzeville they don't have an athletic secretary. And I said, wow, we have one here.
Right.
So,
And again, I don't know who the community member was, and I don't want to get into the discussion, but if you haven't called me, I can address it. You know, and I'll give everybody a chance to roll their eyes. Coming from Bronzeville and doing their compensation plan, I did see that they did have an athletic secretary and a UIL secretary, and they had a chess program and we had a chess secretary. So that I can guarantee you that the athletic director did have a secretary, and there was an additional UIL secretary. But and not only for that community member, any community member that has a concern or wants further detail, just either give me a call or show up or send me an email, and we'll definitely can sit down and give you the information or do some research for you
stipend and also the head football coach, is it the same stipend that we had for last year?
Yes,
The same amount?
it is the same amount.
Okay. With the study that we asked for TASB, according to them, we're overpaying those stipends or that athletic director, head football coach by about 13% market value. We didn't address it here, is that correct?
That's correct. We didn't address it. I tried to address it through an alternative method, which was making the salary part of an administrative scale. But, at this particular time, we decided as a group to go a different direction, and I respect that.
So I guess for me, the problem still exists. In other words, say that the same person, right, I'm talking third person, but the same person may be here for another 10 years, and they may be making more than you are. So I just kind of have that issue where we need to fix it so that, we're not having that problem 10 years from now, 5 years from now.
Right, and let me address that. Remember, what Mr. Martinez is trying to say is actually true. The way that we currently have the athletic director position and the band director position is that it's tied up to your teacher schedule. Then times the weight plus the stipends here. So every time that the individual, as long as he hasn't maxed out, and this individual maxed out at 20 plus years, let's say that this individual has 5 years experience or 11 years experience, every time that he or she gets an additional year, because it's based on the teacher scale, automatically that individual is earning more and more and more. But that's the way that the setup is, and that's what's gonna happen when you address it or when you tie it up to the teacher scale. Now, as long as that individual is under 20 plus years, each year, that individual will be getting an increase in salary. If we tie it to an administrative scale, like the way that I had proposed, what happens is, and there would be about 19 individuals in this school district that have already maxed out. In other words, we said they're over the 100%. Anyone over 110%. Let's say we can come up with an arbitrary number. We can say, we're not gonna, when we give general pay increases, your salary is frozen until the market catches up. But the way that we currently have, and it's not through any doing or misdoing of this individual, it's the way that we have it set up.
And I guess my question is that, you can do it that way, which I understand. I think that's I guess for the long run, that's the better solution. However, a short-term problem that we have now is that if it continues, we're paying over market value by 13%.
Right.
Why wouldn't we be able to cut, that amount to about, say, 10% over market value?
For two reasons. Reason number one is I don't think that it's fair to the individuals in these positions that have been hired under those assumptions, under those salary assumptions. That's one. Number two is that if you start adjusting the stipend, because that would be the only thing you could be doing, it would be going from 12.5, let's say next year would be 10,000, 9,000, so on down the line. You have not solved the problem, because the problem becomes, or the issue becomes, when the current individual leaves the position, then what are you gonna do with the incoming one? See? And then, so that means that the incoming one, you're gonna start adjusting the stipend to go further up, so that you can match it with market. So if you start playing those dynamics, it just, I don't think it's a
I guess what you're saying there, you're gonna be proposing something in the near future, so that, because that makes me very uncomfortable, that, knowing the way it is, that you could actually be making as much as you are, if,
Well, it wouldn't be as much.
I'm just saying,
but it
it's
would
pretty
be tied up. It would be 80, 90, maybe even $95,000, $100,000, depending on the teacher scale. Because it would be, we top out at how much? 52? Well, I can tell you how much. And this is, again, maybe a little bit too much information or conversation, but we top out at about $52,000 on the teacher scale. So, on 20 years, right. So until you get to that 20 years, you're already there?
Almost there.
Almost there. So see, there's still a couple of couple of more years where that is going to happen, and he's gonna be getting further and further away from market. So, I mean, I can come back with a proposal again, for the board to reconsider it, if that's something that you all would like to have a discussion on. I can do it, you know, as soon as you are ready for me to present it, or we can just say, you know what, just leave it alone for this year, we'll pick it up again, when we go through this whole thing.
Sir, so this is why he keeps increasing, because of the way the system is set up.
That's correct.
So let's say that, so anytime the school district gives raises or doesn't give raises, he's still getting it automatically, even if we're not giving raises.
No, remember, in his case, he doesn't, like, for example, this year, that we, did not adjust the teacher scale. So his salary and the band director salary stays the same, because the scale was not adjusted. But if we start adjusting the scale, then yes, this individuals are entitled, from my opinion, you know, they are entitled to the step that comes along with it, because it's based on the teacher step. Until you hit 20 years.
Sir, I have a question though. Last year, we did adjust the teacher scale, but we did not adjust the administrators. Did Coach James get a raise?
I do not think so, I don't,
Considered an administrator, at least not on there,
right.
on that.
See, like that's like what I still haven't understand, the concept that I still haven't understand. He himself says he's considered an administrator. So we
Right,
don't know
but
administrator
remember,
skill.
that's correct, and that's why,
It's a very, very
and that's
hard
why the
concept
issue,
for
and
me
that's
to.
why I'm having an issue with the way that we have it proposed. Because they are considered administrators, but not in the administrative scale.
So last year, Coach James didn't benefit anything from when the teacher scale went up.
The answer is no. See, here's the other problem, and we've corrected this one, and I know it's just for the community. The way that we had the system based would be like the principals, that principals would get the $3,000 stipend for masters. And then you can say, well, yeah, but masters is part of the requirement for being a principal. But that's the way the system was set up, because it was based on a teacher scale. I think it was teacher scale times a weight, plus 3,000 for the masters, gives you, times the number of days, gives you your salary.
So the way that is there won't put him at a market value, and that's why he's getting the stipend?
No. Sometime during, whenever this stipend was developed, somebody decided and said, you know what? To be the athletic director, not only are we gonna pay you the 20% weight, we're also gonna give you $12,500. But that was prior to
No, but
Coach
yeah,
James being here.
but like that stipend, was it given so that it could be at market value? Or was it just given just to give and say, oh, we're gonna give Coach James an additional?
I think,
Both ways.
if you ask me, and I have to look at Ms. Lawrence, it was probably for market value, that's one. Two, it was probably intended, and this is what I think happened, it was intended when you, and this is what happens when you start customizing stipends. So I'm gonna come here, and I'm a winning football coach, or I'm a winning band director, or I'm a winning UIL coordinator, and I'm gonna come, and I'm gonna say, you know what? If you don't adjust my salary, I'm gonna look somewhere else, then they're gonna say, or I think that what happened here was, we'll give you a stipend, so that you could stay here. That's what I think actually happened, it wasn't based on the market value.
Survey on all.
On a survey on what, right?
So like the master stipends, are they given so that, because the weight is not
Strong enough.
strong
But
enough?
we did away with that this year because we placed
Then
principals.
we didn't do it for Coach James, and the reason we said was that, like, putting that type, like, that was, stipend is not owned.
Right, that's one of the cons, and I told you that that was one of the cons, that if you put it into the salary, then you cannot adjust it. If it's not part of the salary, the board can decide tonight, and decide next year. You know what, instead of $12,500, we're just gonna do $10,000 or $5,000. I'm not recommending that, and I'm totally against that, but it can happen. So that's why, that's the con, putting it together as part of their salary.
But this has been in place before.
It's been in place since before you were here. Yeah. athletic director and the band director that have that additional stipend, even though I agree with you 100%, and you bring an excellent point. Yeah, but you're already paying
You see, like,
the individual for
that's a hard,
position.
that's a hard concept for me to understand when you say, oh, there's no administrative salary, even Coach James himself considers himself an administrator.
That's correct.
And he's getting a weight on top of his salary.
Right. Remember what I'm saying, he is an administrator, we don't have an administrative, we didn't have an administrative scale. It was based on a teacher's scale, times a week, plus if they had a $3,000.
That's a,
So we're getting closer to solving the issue, but we're not there yet.
That's all I asked her, that if you could come back and help us out with that, because, I really have a big issue with, you know, this, and, you know, whether he's there or somebody else, we're still gonna have the same problem later.
Right.
So please help us out with that.
I will come back with a proposal to address that particular issue, and then, you know, we can continue with a conversation at that time.
Another question, the girls athletic, coordinator, is that, just like athletic, a female athletic director, or how does that work?
You wanna explain how that's?
That's a female athletic coordinator, she does it right now, the stipend was a lot lower, and, they felt that it needed to be up more, than what it was. But she takes care of, say when volleyball's on, she handles a lot of the issues that go on during volleyball season, and basically the girl sports that
And
go on.
so either she will be there, or you will be there,
Right.
or someone's gonna be there.
is that norm something custom that?
No, everybody has girl coordinators, female coordinators, and it's just basically since they can go in the girls' locker rooms and they can go handle different things, go talk to the coaches in the girls' locker room. It's just something that, most schools have. Oh, I think almost every school probably has a female coordinator.
Any
And it's always been there too, that one's been there since Jessica Wassos was around, that one's been there also.
Coach James, when you meet, with your, and I can talk about it because it's on your job description. When you meet with your district coaches, do y'all talk about, or like, that academics comes first, and, because I remember, you know, I've heard some concerns where some of the coaches have said, I'm not gonna give y'all homework because I have to go, you know, I have a game or whatever, so.
I wouldn't know about that, I would not. All of our coaches, every single one is basically a teacher, we don't have any paras that coach, every single one's a teacher, from, English, math, we have them all over, but I wouldn't think any of them would put, the academics second.
I also have heard, similar, I guess, comments in the community, so I guess that would not validate, but I would ask that you just kind of look into that.
I would,
At their request, I would think.
coach, didn't want to give homework, because he had a game that night, I can be sure to cover that.
And before you go, I just want to thank you for giving us a job description. This is something that we've asked since last year, and, you know, we're just getting it now that this is helpful, because I don't know, you know, what you guys do, you know, if they work hard, seen them all done, and this makes it a little clearer for us as to, you know, when we decide to for this.
Thank you.
The only thing to that, it's not 4,000 for the assistants, it's 4,500. So with that being said, there's no, any other questions, I recommend that the board approve the stipend schedule as presented.
Commissioners, and this stipend, it's, I mean, they're giving, they're running to the particular schools.
That is correct. Even with this, they're still under paid from the market. But it accomplishes a lot. We get rid of one of the biggest issues and concerns, which is the number of stages. So it will be, instead of 4,000 for the assistants, it's 4,500, everything else stays the same, right? Okay. Commissioner Sal, yes, sir.
Coach James, how do we look?
We look good. We got a lot of kids out, we got a lot of kids out, we look good, we look really good.
Look forward to going to the games and cheering you on.
Thanks very much, appreciate it.
Mr. President, I recommend that the board approve the stipend schedule with the correction of the 4,500 as presented.
How's it?
I'm sorry, this is for all the stipends, or just athletic?
No, for both
a motion pending.
Then,
Have a second. Motion made by Mr. Flores, second by Mr.